Good. We're back. We're ready to rock and roll. Alright, let's see where the hell we're going at here. Alright, guys. Hold on just a second. Give me a second. I'm going to try to stream some Syndicate. Just a second here, guys. This will take me a minute. Wait for GOG to come up and finish its bullshit. Oh, damn it. Tori, would you please? Hold on. Hush, Torty. Tortimus. Hush, Torty. Tortimus.
Selected. 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 Mission completed.
I didn't remember my audio was clipped off. Whoops, sorry about that, guys. 10 hours, 1 day. All right. Hold on a second, guys. Damn thing's malfunctioning again.
Selected. Selected. Selected.
Syndicate. So you can point to the building right there, and they'll walk toward it. Hello, Mr. Policeman. Now you're one of us.
Selected. Selected. Selected.
Got it. Just evacuate. You can grab this stuff to sell. I've got one of the agents equipped with the chassis to blow everything sky high if they piss me off. Now you gotta wait for everybody else to catch up.
Selected. 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 Selected.
I gotta wait on all these assholes. It'll give you a message when it's ready. We gotta wait on all of them to get down here.
Selected. Selected. Selected.
Get them all crowded in here. It'll give me a message eventually.
Selected. Selected.
Oh boy. What is this bullshit? Come on, man. Wait for some stupid. So that's a problem. Picking them up, because sometimes you'll pick them up and they're not. Always one. Wait for these two stragglers here. As soon as we'll get that, we'll end the mission. Then we'll be okay. What the hell?
Selected.
You guys are about to piss me off. Or you hit Control D and get pissed off. done when they're supposed to.
No!
BS start my Streamlabs, darn it. Being wonky's what it is. Hello, whoever's tuned in. How you doing? If it's Bad Gal Beach, how you doing? Whoever else is tuned in. Hello. I'm just playing some games here. I'll be right back. Stay tuned. I gotta go check on the oven. Get some food out of the oven. Happen to know where the other oven mitt is, do you? Hey, Mom, where's the other oven mitt? I'm not Michael Jackson. Well, with one glove. Ooh. Yeah, buddy. Oh! Yeah, buddy. All right, Ma, it's ready. Wow. Good. Now I understand. Oh, that's delicious. Absolutely delicious. Alright, let me see here. I'm going to screw him here in a minute. Yep. Mm-hmm. I got a plate.
Pest Petsapaz for Thurrofoot. Kender Mariner, Fighter 4 Thief 8. Secondary skills, Sailing, Acrobat, the power of Reknin * limited herb and alchemy skills due to being around Astrid *. Pez can ride, fly, or climb just about anything. The Kender base jumps off canyons with a parachute. Age 54, 80. By his Reknin he was born 50 summers ago round bout the uttermost inlet of Talada's spine bout 2 leagues south of Mither's Key on a jigger hop. That's what me grandpapa told me cause me parents was on skiff run through an atoll and me ma birthed me during a thunderstorm and they say rainbow appeared right after. And then they boat got sunk and we washed up on a beach and I lived in Barleyford Bay and bounced round flotsam till I was old enough to skiff it out on me own and trail the waters. But I've spent more time on land than any of me bar. Pez often punctuates his speech with the phrase me bar, which is actually spelled and pronounced amabar. It means kin, family, or friend. Seafaring Kender in both Barleyford and Urgoth speak a pidgin speak of common, Urgothian, and Elvish along with some dwarvish phrases that can only be described in real-world terms akin to Cockney rhyming slang. Current residence, Barleyford Common, but always travels with Astrid de Morris as her de facto bodyguard and Kender man-at-arms, in the employ of Empress of the North, Lady de Morris Trapspringer. Her mother appointed Pez as Astrid's bodyguard. Hair, none, usually as he likes to shorn his head sept on top, but 'tis dark curly as a fine wool. Each journey he takes he grows a ruff or lock of hair into a braid. Each trip as he stops he braids it and gives it to one of his wives or skaglins, kids, to hold. They also mark the braids with beads and color to denote a birth, a death, or even a life event. Over a lifetime of trips his family collects these locks, or braids, on his rounds among the islands as these tell a story of his travels. Multi-generations of island Kender make these fetishes and talismans to carry with them and they hold important meaning for most. Skin, light coffee. Pez is in exceptional shape for an older-aged Kender. His work wrinkles and calluses of years working the ship's masts have hardened his hands and feet to the consistency of leather. His complexion is sun-hardened, but despite this the top of his head often shines like a moonbeam on a moonlit night atop the mast. Maquesta Carthon once remarked, "We can tell all weather is good when you peer out portside and hear whistling from high above in the crow's nest, the sounds of Ol Petsa keeping watch." STR 17 * note due to racial limit being 16 for Kender normally, the exception being Pez is literally the strongest Kender in all of Ansalon. His height and size of his arms often have him mistaken for a dwarf. DEX 15 I'm as quick as Tars, but MR Fatas needs a few feet to compensate cause I weigh more than Astrid or me bar Tars. You sets em both on a scale weigh and sees if I don't win cause I can carry em both on me shoulders and not tire a bit. INT fate, but Pez don't read no maps or charts when you got the wind and stars and sun me bar. I uses the power of Reknin *- DM's % chance to be correct on any given path provided special conditions are met regardless of prior mishaps. CHA 13 I finds myself in the employ of Lady de Morris, so I sleep out on the front patio roof of the mansion with all me comforts, including me stargazer. A massive 50-foot telescope. I goes down to the tavern now and then when steel is good. Pez is known in a wide array of bars and squats in Flotsam, Barleyford, and San Cristobal as an expert Kender's arm wrestler. Pez is good-natured and jovial, but his weakness lies in betting and trying to beat every single challenge has offered. Pez had the honor of being passed out drunk in the street in Flotsam when Caramon and Tanis had their mock fight. Back then he'd been persuaded by unknown to him the Blue Lady in disguise to follow Tanis on suspicion he was a spy. Pez did indeed lead Kitiara to Tanis, albeit being passed out and missed all of the commotion and woke up tied to the back of a red dragon as a prisoner being taken to Neraka. That fart gobble dragon rider thought he had Petsa tied down to his dragon's smelly hide. I gots loose and I goes WHOP. Upside that human's head. Down he goes screaming and peeing his pants, and his dragon literally eat him trying to get at me on the back at stab bin at it hind quarter with me dag. I says, "Oh, Petsa me bar. It's a ride to the ground all the way down, son." So I's grab holds of a haunch and ties myself to his tail and that big red stinky bastard, he goes spinning in a dive to get me loose and he can't and he flipped and flung me this way and that way, and then I says, "'Nuff of this silly rucket. I goes womp right when he flip me toward his maw to catch me. I smack him right on his head with the dragon rider's mace. I forgot I was tied to the dragon. Pez grins sheepishly and rolls his eyes while absently chewing his gold bit. After Pez lost his teeth, the gnomes made him some carved wooden ones, and later Astrid de Morris made a partial of his teeth out of gold coated with a special heavy beeswax and lacquer effectively. Becoming a Kender pioneer in dentistry throughout Ansalon. Phineas Curic * the Kendamore Physican aka a doctor is and teeth would be proud. Petsa needs me tooth to chew in it? Astrid hands me this big ol gummy piece of beeswax and says, Pez, bite down on this but don't eat it. I says, why, and sure enough they poured some gold into a mold, and then they took a string and they measured my mouth this way and that, and then Astrid seasons it with some beeswax and it works all right, ca. Pez holds up his gold bit. Them gnomes at Mount Nevermind made me tooth shine like the scales of Pyrite herself. DM note, he's also banned from Lord Gunther's Yuletide tournament because he broke the thumbs of an overconfident knight in a drunken wager about size, and the knight laughably insisted they'd thumb wrestled, not knowing the articulation of a Kender's thumbs, forefingers, and hands in general are somewhat not in proportion to a human's, and he lost when Pez broke one of his thumbs accidentally. Can 18 Pez can eat and drink his weight in Kenderpack and Barleyfor ale. His mighty partial to boiled shark or crab meat steamed in beer. When he's inland he likes a duck or waterfowl. Hilo Kenderpack is great, but gimme a duck for me stews and some ramps and Petsa got a meal. WIS Slate Tars always got his head stuck in the maps and things, Petsa got no time for that, me bar. I use me power of reckoning and anything else I can get out of you, see me lil ass just a wiggling away, I got's brains to stay alive. Island Kender. Pez Thurrofoot is known as an Island Kender, one of the many tribes of Kender that roam the coastal byways of the spine of Taladers, make port around the coasts of northern Urgoth and the eastern coasts of Ansalon in Flotsam and Barleyfor, and as far south as Icewall. These Kender have lived among the atolls and the sea for most of their lives, rarely settling on land let alone having time to build a structure. They live on skiffs and canoes and barges. The Taladon and some North Ogothian Kender are of darker skin than Ansalonian Kender. They are stockier, a little taller, and they often get mistaken for dwarfs due to their increased size. Island Kender are master mariners, enabling a +3 bonus to any check involving sailing. Pez can climb a crow's nest in a typhoon and climb back down intact. Pez culture functions a little differently than Ansalonian Kender, as they are nomadic but they aren't solitary. Families travel often together, multi-generational, living in one space or vessel. Family plays a huge role in their lives. Pez has 3 wives, 2 skaglins, and kids to piece. The wives in turn each own a piece of the overall property or nest, to do as they wish, as they in turn may have wives or husbands attached to another community. This nest is where most Island Kender go to bury their treasure, stash their loot, or hole up until better weather prevails. The atolls range from massive port town communities to small cave-side inlets where pirates and smugglers dwell. All Island Kender are master swimmers, and can receive a +1 dex bonus when fighting in or around water. Pez culture is a superstitious lot, even more so than their Ansalonian cousins or even the slightly religious highborn, Hilo, Kender. Their religion often comes at odds with the mainland dictums issued by Emperor Mercator, Northern Urgoth as a proxy ruler, as most deities outside the pantheon alignment of Paladin or Reorcs are not acknowledged by the Salamnic proxy, much less the native darker-skinned Urgothians whose ancient religions were forgotten after centuries under Urgothian rule. Island Kender hold the same view as the native Northern Urgothians or Hilo Kender about outside human influence. They care very little, but tolerate it. Urgothian Kender are an almost peculiar phenomenon unto themselves as opposed to nomadic Goodland Kender. Their accents as well as general outlook are different, and it shows in diverse contrast, especially between Astrid and Pez. Astrid was raised primarily in the protected confines of the university established by the Sancrist embassy shortly after the War of the Lance. The Hilo Kender had barely seen or heard of a dragon armies except rumors, and the cataclysm had isolated their ancestors from the main continent. When Pez arrived in northern Urgoth to help settle Barleyfor Common, Astrid was a baby, and even he felt out of place among Kender who practiced a religion so very different from his own, while the Hilo Kender had been altered irrevocably by the cataclysm, many of them becoming religious in the aftermath. The War of the Lance or the Dragon armies had barely touched northern Urgoth, and with the exception of Sancrist avoided much of post-war Ansalon's woes entirely. The North Ogothian Kender still speak in an accent and dialect of the old Solamnic tongue. The Chantries, founded pre-cataclysm and then endorsed by Emperor Mercator, were responsible for teaching much what were assumed by the Emperor illiterate barbarians. To remind you, the Hilo Kender ancestors came from a flying citadel that eventually crashed in the mountains of northern Urgoth. The settlement of Hilo was established, however, when the cataclysm hit. It separated Urgoth into three separate land masses: northern, southern, and Sancrist. Pez and Astrid both punctuate their speech with phrases that are uncommon simply to the fact common itself is not their first language. In this, I tell you tings. Much like a non-English speaker trying the nuances of the language for the first time, these Kender say things that will either confuse, infuriate, or amuse one simply because of their way with language in front of common-speaking humans. Pez will often punctuate a sentence with the me bar, or me may colloquially, meaning brother, sister, or friend. The indigenous peoples of the Ogothian Isles are relatively dark or olive-skinned, brown or almond-shaped brown eyes, in contrast to the sandy blonde or fair hair and blue or green eyes that Hilo Kender typically exhibit, whereas Goodland Kender are often identified by the topknot and slightly darker hues to their hair, attributed possibly to a genetic diversification element not seen in Ogothian Kender. Over the centuries, Ogothian and Goodland Kenders have extremely intricate familial structures often set up so inbreeding doesn't occur. A child from one community will often be set in an arranged marriage sometimes before the Kender are even born. Despite this, most Kender seem to have little bother with the custom, as they will congress with the opposite sex if they feel like it, but to them it's not the be-all end-all, as they have children and sometimes move on. Kender are somewhat lax on child rearing. They don't make poor parents, but more often than not it's always a person besides the biological parents the Kender gravitates toward. The nomadic nature of most Kender endears them as a stranger to nobody. They make friends where they are. Kenders barely spend any time inside the home past 5. At age 6, Kender law says you can legally carry a hoopak as soon as you're taller than the hoopak. Kender, unlike humans, don't seem to be particular to the concept of sex other than their attitude towards it, often like their wanderlust, know their time with another Kender, and so they settle down to roots and conceive children and so forth. Kender are somewhat asexual in their views, especially around non-Kender. Sexual promiscuity just isn't in a Kender's makeup, as one would falsely assume with humans. They have no concept of carnal lust, and the mere act of sexual intercourse is the same as if they saw two dogs in the street. Interesting, but certainly not as interesting as the human who tried to throw water on them and slipped and fell because it was snowing. It's just rude to interrupt someone. What if a dog came in and took a juice on your bed and then walked off? Kenders think the same thing. Leave things alone. I mean, you can look maybe, but it's probably not all that interesting. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. Go ahead and look, but I warn you, it might be gross. Kenders have no concept of sexual activity as would be attributed to humans. A human attempting any sort of inappropriate behavior around Kender would most likely get their throat cut. Kender are not stupid and are aware of human behaviors as such. It's not unheard of a human with less than honorable intentions toward a Kender may be tied up and left for the owlbears or goatsucker bird by that same group of Kender they tried to lure * away for such a purpose. There are nasty vicious people who prey on Kender as they assume they're a size that makes them children and easy to mess with. However, the predators often are unaware. Sometimes Kender are the best type of people to handle a problem when one of these monsters appear. Tales of a child-killing cannibal human in Flotsam being apprehended by a brave Kender who tricked them into their own demise circulate to this day. Kender do not tolerate the sexual exploitation of anyone. If the Kender is aware a person is in distress, they will feasibly try to help that person. Making someone do anything against their will goes against a Kender's very nature, unless of course they're hurting someone. Then it's okay to make them stop and hope you can before they do something really bad or the other person gets mad and does something back to them. Sex and violence for a Kender is viewed in the same light. Most Kenders are well-mannered and extremely conservative and chaste given the setting, and any indication of sex or violence usually means someone getting hurt, and they don't like that. Kenders are emotional enough to see even a single person in distress will make them weep, and adverse behavior would tend to alarm them to the point they would be uncomfortable around anyone you wouldn't want a child around, and if they make a Kender uncomfortable, you know that person is trouble. While it's not unheard of for Kender to be amorous around each other in the privacy of their own abodes, if there really is such a thing, it's not something a human would witness or even be allowed to partake in. Any Kender of conceivable breeding age in relative to any human adult, the adult would be considered a mere child to them. The 20-year-old Kendermaid is actually closer to 40 in human years, and she thinks your big ugly ass stinks and has buck teeth and a little knob. A human man has not known the insulting sting until any Kender catches him naked and makes a remark about his manhood being small. Actually, it's the first thing Kenders will say to an enemy. Count on it. Kenders, especially Tasselhoff, would never discuss anything of themselves in that context. It should be attributed that more than once Tars has been run out of the tents of numerous male and female companions during moments of privacy simply because he himself does not understand or have any concept past of what he's seeing other than it looks weird. Tasselhoff understands the concept of sex most likely, but his outlook is most certainly asexual. Tars has the particular of being a Kender raised primarily around humans all his life, very little interaction per se females outside the Kender communities. Kender on Wanderlust are often too distracted to even stop for a second and procreate like a human would do. You couldn't get a Kender to sit still and shut up long enough to root with one laughs a bailiff or harlot. He's too busy counting the coins of MR lady's purse to notice. Kenders understand what sex is, but for most Kender it's not the absolute most important thing on their agenda. It's like blowing your nose, farting, and taking a squat for all necessary functions of an organic being, but not that important unless something neat happens along with it. Two Kenders might have a contest to see who could pee farther, fart louder, or as many times in succession. They might hop on the back of an owl bear naked as a dare, but none of this is remotely sexual in the Kender's mind past the libertine of the act itself. All races on KRYNN are known to make references or connotations towards their genitals, except maybe elves, to challenge an opponent, say on the field of battle. Many a Kender and Dwarven legion in ages past have bared their buttocks and genitals to the enemies to mock the enemy as well as each other. Kenders, humans, and dwarfs on KRYNN of this time period, however, are somewhat chaste in their regards to sex. Sex as a carnal activity outside of marriage is considered to be a temptation on which Takesis and the forces of evil corrupt men and women alike. The chantries and religious sects of the Dragonlance medieval fantasy world would actively discourage sexual promiscuity among the races and see it as an ultimate corruption. It exists, but like any world it should not be the dominant force in mandating PC behavior beyond the simple courtesy of other people at the gaming table not needing to know it. We know it's implied, we just won't talk about it as a courtesy to others. Dragonlance has and will always be to some extent a PG-13 setting. We know the sex exists, but it's what we don't see and what is implied that we hold so dear to our sentiments, and we are allowed to interpret that as individuals how far that goes, but we keep it to our mind's eye as a courtesy to those who don't want to read about graphic depictions of sexual activity. Fair enough, right? Dragonlance has never been Game of Thrones. The Kenders Topknot. As stated before, a person can sometimes identify a Goodlund or Hilo Kender primarily by their hair if not their dress. Hilo Kender often, not all, have fair skin and light eyes. Their ancestors got to Urgoth on a flying citadel that crashed in the mountains. Hilo Kender would often short crop or cut the child's hair mostly due to the dictums of the chantry, and also to stop siblings from getting it caught or setting it on fire as Kender hair grows extremely fast. Young Tars growing up in northern Urgoth was recognized for his long hair and topknot while on his dad's shoulders at a fair. A drunken barbarian and his wench bellowed at them. Tasselhoff, loosely translated in Urgothian, means fringe hair, horses as etc. The name stuck. Kalin was the first name of the human who raised Tasselhoff barefoot. The barefoot came from when his dad stepped on a burr barefoot in the dark while on a training mission, giving the whole platoon away. He became friends with an older Kendermaid scout who would later be Tasselhoff's mother. Kalin later found baby Tars at the orphanage and looked after him while his mother was off searching for Tasselhoff's Kender father. Tasselhoff popularized the Kender hairstyle by growing a topknot. He wasn't compelled by the church to cut his hair because he was raised by a human. The topknot did become a fashionable hairstyle for all Kenders after the War of the Lance, but was more attributable to Goodland Kender, as they tended to have the right color and texture for it. Gingers, albinos, and platinum-haired Kender exist, all with the skin and complexions and complexities that go with it. A popular well-known Kender known as Frizzhair Badair exists who sports a gargantuan, what can be described as a ginger afro with several topknots. Kender hair is only attributed to the top of their heads. Most Kenders have no hair anywhere else on their bodies, as most are very fond of pointing out to humans who have hair on their butts, which is a common Kender insult. Toward a human, humans grow hair on their butts. Oh, is that your face? It is claimed that certain breeds or families of Kender can be identified by certain genetic peculiarities. Just like humans, in certain concentrated areas you can see evidence of a breed with certain facial characteristics being recognizable among generations of Kender lucky enough to have contained families. This once again is more attributable to island and high-low Kender being more centralized in family yet more isolated than their mainland Ancelonian cousins. Among Kender, anthropologists would attribute this to being indeed the same thing that happens among humans or breeds of any race. Less outside contact means less diversity. It's one of the reasons high-low Kender find arranged marriages to be essential, so you don't accidentally marry your cousin. Astrid's mother Damaris was once betrothed to Tasselhoff out of a political alliance arranged by ruling councils of Kenderholm and Kendemore under the auspices to populate Urgoth with a new colony. The crashing of the spell-jamming ship on the plains outside Gwyn became the site of Barleyford Common and Trapsbringer Manor, mansion, keep. Well, we haven't decided yet, but the family agrees we want to give it a pirate theme, with all the ship stuff still laying around for 20 miles. Uncle Trapsbringer insists. Yeah, I know Barleyford is nowhere near us. But Barleyford Common just has a ring to it.
Alright guys, we'll be right back. Hello, who's ever tuned in? I just figured I'd run that as a real quick segment for anybody that hadn't seen it. Alright, we'll be right back. Alright, let's check this out, guys. Alright. Okay. Double check and see if you can hear me here. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I'm here. Alright, hold on just a second here, guys. Oh, boy. Alright. This will be waiting on us here just a second. We'll be right back. Come on. There you go, guys. This is December 95. Chronology of Korean. Harold Johnson and Sue Wineline. Some of those were Margaret Weis' pen name, but alright, guys, I'm going to hold that there for just a second, let you give you a chance to read it. It's the best way to do it. Yeah, and this was in the middle of putting Dragon's Summer Flame in. That was in 95, so there you go. This was at 95. This was the list as of 95. There you go, guys. Read it and weep. I'll give you a chance to have a look there. You can pause the video if you want to. I might transfer it over to to YouTube, so you'll be able to look at that segment anyway. Yep. I'll go slow. This was all the stuff that was printed as of 95. See? I'm just glad I remember where the hell this was at. Yeah, I'll go slow, guys, so you can pause the video and look. I go slow so everybody can read. And you'll be able to pause the video and look. That'll help you out. I'll zoom it in one more. That'll work. I'm assuming this was all the stuff that was written for it. Don Perrin. The first Dragon Army. Yeah. I'm assuming that was the stuff that was written back in 95. There you go. That's all the stuff that they had written for it, I guess. And what it said in, all that. Yeah. Okay, guys. If you have any questions on it, just let me know. Like I said, I can always pull the stuff up again. Certain little things I can always pull up if you want me to. Well, Parthementers. Oh, we got more. We got more. We got more, guys. There's more. I go slow. All right. Milwaukee, Wisconsin. In 96. Wow. Virtual Seattle Shadowrun tournaments. Those would have been cool, I bet. That was in Polyhedron. Damn, that would have been cool. Death Keep. Never heard of it, but Death Keep, huh? I'll have to look it up later. I think that's where they got into the needlepoint, was the Renaissance stuff, where they started doing a lot of that clothing and stuff. It's a registration form at GenCon. 96. Ohio, New Jersey, California. Necrocon. See, some days in Florida you check, see, Legends and Legions. Tallahassee, Florida, Collegiate Business Inn. Some of these places Bill would know who they were. Works getting fat. He thinks his Father Christ is in his stupid-looking hat. Story by Richard Parks. Riffs. work was great. Rift Japan. Floyd. SnarfQuest is in here somewhere, but I don't know. I think SnarfQuest was discontinued by 95. That was Elmore's comic. They replaced it with this damn thing. Alright. Are bards on Krynn required to take the test of high sorcery? No. No, no, and no. Krynn has no native bards at all, so the question of a test is moot. Bards from other worlds need not take a test, but once the native wizards discover, that a visiting bard can cast wizard spells, they will offer the bard membership in one of the orders. If you refuse, you become a renegade, and then they will hunt you down. Britt probably was thinking of the retributive strike power of the Staff of Magi, or the Staff of Power. A wizard using either of these two staffs can produce a blast of injury by breaking the staff. This is a special power that must be deliberately invoked. If the staff is broken, normally there's no special effect. I didn't know that. Each time the monster hits. Yep. Sonics was done away with. Play by mail game, huh? Wonder what it was like. Female players. Some of them are stupid fucking questions. Birthright. That looks good. I like that. What made you think about this video tip? Help want a gift wrap. Ha! Gin and the tunic, okay. He's got a gin and tunic. Gin and tonic instead of gin and tonic, gin and tunic, okay. But 0.96 of an inch and then snaps your head off. Another senseless Pentium death. There you go. There you go. That's 5E in a fucking nutshell right there. Right there. Another useless Pentium death. Right there. So Maybe it was lousy, but it's got great atmosphere, okay. The long splash page looking things. It's too fucking busy. It's okay, I don't know. I was never into reading comics. Like, it's alright, it's just... This is 95. This was one of the first ads that come out. Yeah, this is when it first started. Magic the Gathering, yeah. 95 is when it started to pick up. Ecology of the Lamasu. Oh, hell. This is December 95. Lord of the Rings. Oh, hell. Look at all that. Middle Earth collectible card game. Works a lot like Magic, but it's Middle Earth. What was coming out? Planes of Conflict. The Gothic Earth. I've got that. Minister by Ed Greenwood. Yep, Making of a Mage. Monsters Compendium, and I got that one. I bought that one. I've got that one. That's the one that I bought, I think. Early internet, when half the people wasn't even on it. Notice there wasn't too many internet on here. There was a couple, but not enough. And there we go. Alright, guys. I want to thank y'all for tuning in. Like I said, it's just me farting around for a little bit. If y'all get a chance, check that out. By the way, let me check that again. That is, what is that? That's, check to see what. That's Dragon Magazine, issue number 224. December 1995 is what that was out of. Let me put the cover for you again. Hold on. Put it back on there. There it is. Number 224. There you go. There you go, guys. The Chronology of Kryn. Remember that. It was page 74 was what it was on. Okay, guys. Alright, I'm going to hop off of here, guys. And I do thank you all for tuning in. Thank you, guys, once again. Definitely means a lot when you tune in. Share the stream with your friends. Check out my stuff on YouTube, by the way. There's all kinds of stuff going on. Alright, guys. I'll hop on and get on a little bit later. Once I get my stuff together. I'm going to take a little bit of a break. Alright, guys. We'll holler at you a little bit later. Okay. Y'all be good.